Welcome to the Snake Pit.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining me back at my channel. Weekend is almost over. Depending on when you're watching this, but for me, it's winding down. I have a few more hours here. But I wanted to cut this vid because over the weekend we actually lost 2 veterans. And we've lost more than that, obviously, but 2 veterans that were kind of celebrity type status and had had some impact on my life, so I thought I'd cut a quick vid. First one, a lot of you probably know, R. Lee Ermey, passed away, age 74, complications from pneumonia, and I do have a couple of stories to go along with both these individuals if you want to stick around for those. But the second one, I don't know how many of you will know this or know of this person, but Art Bell. Yeah, Art Bell from Coast to Coast AM. If you're like me, you listen to that show with Art Bell, I mean, a lot. And currently, I mean, Art Bell did retire several years back, and the show was taken over by George Noory, who does a great job. I still catch it periodically. I'm just not up as late anymore as I used to be, but I do have some stories if you want to hang out for that. But Art Bell, age 72, passed, and there's no the cause has not been determined, so a little bit of mystery there currently. Yes, a little bit older, but you know why. So alright, here's the stories. I'm going to try not to make this video a downer, because we need to celebrate these people's lives, especially if they made, you know, you may not have met them in person. You know, I didn't meet them in person, but they made an impact on our culture, and I think for the positive, for the most part, and, you know, in individuals' lives. So let's talk about this a little bit. I'll tell you my stories. So let's start with, I got this out. I actually found this a few days ago, randomly, and I already had it out. That's what's kind of weird. But Full Metal Jacket, this is the movie that made R. Lee Ermey kind of famous. He had already been getting into the movies type stuff. He was a Marine Corps veteran. I have nothing but respect for the Marine Corps, absolutely. But the story goes that the actor they had playing the role of the drill instructor wasn't quite doing it right. Lee Ermey was there to kind of give him the guidance or whatever as technical advisor, but Lee Ermey was a drill instructor and he just was doing it better, so they just put him in, and he played it just like he did it during the Vietnam War. And so that's why you see the, you know, the gut punches or whatever, because that's what they were doing. They had a condensed period. You know, their time for basic, I think, was condensed down to 8 weeks for the Marines and during that Vietnam time period, because they needed people out there and they were drafting everybody. Very unpopular war, of course. But Full Metal Jacket, here's my story. Here's the little tie-in. A VHS tape, almost just like it. It'd be badass. I should have said the VHS tape that I have here in my hand was on my we call them TIs instead of DIs in the Air Force. So my TI had a VHS tape of Full Metal Jacket sitting on his desk. Boom! So the way the barracks were, there was 2 sides. There was a pass-through, which was the TI's office, and then a little room for him that had his cot there, so he could sleep there overnight. And the doors, of course, shut and locked. He didn't want us sneaking in there at night, but he had this on his desk, you know, as an intimidation factor, I guess. But I think he had watched it one too many times, because he actually choked, like Darth Vader style, grabbed the dude and choked him out, picked him up, choked him out Darth Vader style, and was pulled out of there. And yeah, let's see, what week was that? 4th week, basic. And yeah, so you know, in the Air Force, they like to, the joke is, you got little cards, timeout cards and stuff. I didn't have that when I went through. You know, we got yelled at, did all that stuff. We got dropped. We did the obstacle courses. We did the firearms training, training with the rifle, field training, all that stuff. Now, it wasn't Marine Corps level. Definitely not. Definitely not. So I'll never say that. But one thing they were not allowed to do was choke you out, like in this movie. So yeah, he was replaced. So there's that story. I'll end it there. Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. So Art Bell was 72, like I said, but Air Force veteran. So I got the Air Force hat on, kind of for him, but I really didn't even know he was an Air Force veteran until I started reading his bio. So hopefully he didn't do anything crazy. One thing I did read was, alright, so he served during the Vietnam time period. I didn't read where he was actually in Vietnam, but while he was stationed at the Amarillo Air Base, which is not there anymore, he started a pirate radio station. How's that for baller status? So he was already getting into the radio stuff before his military service, and he started a pirate radio station because the Armed Service Network, they censored, especially during Vietnam and stuff like that, they censor stuff, and they censor stuff a lot. He was playing music that they were censoring. Music, and a lot of the music was considered anti-war type music, but if you listen to it nowadays, you may not consider it that. So I don't think he's a Jane Fonda type person, but it's music that you see in the movies about Vietnam now. It's all that background music, like the Creedence Clearwater Revival type stuff. You know, well, heck, the Robin Williams movie, what was that? Good Morning Vietnam, where he goes in there and starts playing all this music they hadn't heard before, and he's getting flack for it because there's only certain things allowed to be played. So that's kind of the thing he did on that pirate radio, so that's kind of interesting. And then I guess when he got out, he was serving over in Asia somewhere, and then he stayed over in that area, went to Japan, and started doing stuff for a radio station that was broadcasting in English. So that kind of jump started, and then he started the Coast to Coast AM. So here comes my story. Coast to Coast AM, when did that run to? I don't remember when it started, but I think it ran to around 2002 with him in there, and then he retired and George Norrie took over. But anyway, when he was in there, I know prior to my Air Force time, when I turned 21, I got my CDL, started driving a truck over the road for Road Corps. I was driving into Washington State. I was in Washington State. Trees and all that stuff, a little bit of an incline. I don't remember exactly where I was. I know I was going up to Oroville. I think I might have still been on, was that I-90? It's been over 20 years. But, so I'm driving that way, a load of automotive parts, I remember that part, taking it up to British Columbia. So, I'm listening to Coast AM like a lot of truck drivers do. Because this thing is on to like 2 a.m. Pacific time. And about an hour before that, some caller had called in talking about, you know, he was out hunting, and all of a sudden what he thought was a bear started charging him. He shot his rifle, and this creature stood up and ran off, like, rapidly. So that was like a creepy thing I'd listened to about an hour before. So I'm driving. You know, it's like 1:30 at night or whatever it was, pretty late, and you got the pine trees, all that stuff. It can almost be a little claustrophobic with the darkness and everything like that. And you're driving, and I see up ahead, you know, the reflection of eyes, and my first intuition is wolf or something like that. And then as I'm approaching it, right, the eyes go up in elevation type thing, like it was crossed down, then up, and then gone, right? And that was just enough from listening to that. Still may have been a wolf, like jumping, I don't know. It was weird, up and over and gone into the forest. But the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, oh no, you know, type of thing. Yeah. Maybe it was a Sasquatch. Maybe I'm crazy. Probably just something else. That's what Coast to Coast AM was all about. Paranormal, you know, Bigfoots, UFOs, shadow people, any of that stuff that you listen to late at night, the old stuff like, you know, stories you tell around the campfire type of thing. That's kind of the feeling I get when I listen to it. So there it is. If you have any stories, this would be kind of cool to man, if eBomi still did Blog Talk Radio with that type of content with Dr. Mark, that'd be kind of cool. But I guess Dr. Mark stopped coming when we made a drinking game out of it. Sorry about that, Dr. Mark. But Coast to Coast AM. I think I'm going to go try to pull up an old Coast to Coast AM and see if there's something on the internet. I know they have a website for their current stuff. Go check it out for yourself. Cheers to the fallen. I think these men led pretty full, good lives, hopefully. So, there it is. Boom.